What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Aaron Nix, and I'm back to discuss WWE Smackdown. Really good show. The go-home show to WWE Fast Lane, which is, of course, this Sunday. And if you want predictions and a review of that, then you should be checking out our YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed already, please consider doing so, because we're so close to 300. And once we get to that mark, we love to give something away. And every 100 subscribers, we're going to make sure that we give something away. Every single time. Doesn't matter if we get up to 1 million. Giveaway. So it's very important that you guys hit that subscribe button. And don't forget, of course, to like and comment and let us know what you thought of SmackDown as well. Now, the show opens, of course, very nicely with the continuation of this rivalry for the Women's Championship. Now, that's kind of on hold. Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks will, of course, challenge for the tag team titles at Fast Lane, but a little bit of different business for this show, as it opens with a SmackDown Women's Championship match. Sasha Banks putting the belt on the line against Nia Jax. I've got to be honest, right out the gate, I'm not feeling this rivalry between her and Bianca Belair. I feel that there is somewhat of a lack of interest, and there's also a real lack of genuine build, genuine animosity. And I'm going to use another rivalry as a good example of that later down the line in Big E and Apollo Crews, because I just feel that Bianca Belair is a world-class athlete. I think her promo skills are a bit boring, a bit bland. She comes across very petulant a lot of the time. And that's great if you're a heel, fantastic stuff, but she's not. She's meant to be kind of like the likeable face, and she's out here and they're bickering backstage before her match, and you know, for me, Bianca Belair comes off a bit of a heel in this rivalry, whereas Sasha Banks is like, well, you know, I'm the champion, I'm the boss. So, and the problem is, even if Sasha Banks is kind of bickering with her, I'm more inclined to show my support for Sasha Banks, because she's already the champion. She's already a proven commodity, whereas Bianca Belair isn't, especially to a casual neutral fan watching this. So I just feel that they haven't written and created good enough promos for these ladies, and they also just haven't had an opportunity to deliver in their own style, in their own cadence. The match was fine, actually. People shit on Nia Jax. She's most definitely one of the less capable workers in the women's division, but she makes up for that by being an absolute monster, and that's the idea. You know, Vader never went out there and had fucking 1 hour Iron Man matches involving ridiculous amounts of technical hammerlocks. You play to your strengths. Of course, Nia Jax is going to try and squash her opponent. Of course, there was going to be shenanigans. Shayna Baszler's at ringside. Bianca Belair's at ringside after a while, despite their bickering, to come down and kind of offer her support, you know, and let bygones be bygones. And they kind of spill into the ring near the end. And, of course, Shayna Baszler accidentally, we assume accidentally, kicks Nia Jax in the face. And that, of course, gives Sasha Banks the opportunity to roll her up and retain her belt. Great, good stuff. And it looks like everything is rosy between Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks, at least for now. Malfunction at the junction. Turns out it was for the women's tag team champions and not for their opponents. Now, speaking of tag team action, the tag team titles and the tag team division on SmackDown feel really important right now. I will say this, a lot more important than they are on Raw. I mean, surprise, SmackDown is doing better than Raw. That's not really a big surprise, is it? Fucking hell, Raw is average at best. But when you think about these tag team titles and what they mean to the brand, even though I don't like Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, these tag team titles feel like they mean something. And the reason for that is because of the way they've booked all the contenders, not necessarily the champions. Now, the Street Profits take on the Mysterios. The winners will probably get a tag team title shot. So you're thinking, oh, okay, it was probably going to be Street Profits. No, big shock actually here, as Rey Mysterio and Dominic pick up the win. Dominic actually getting the pin on Angelo Dawkins, which I thought was very cool. By the way, Dominic Mysterio is looking so good. Such a great athlete. His springboard to the outside is beautiful, by the way. A really credible, high-quality wrestler. I'm so impressed with how quickly he's adapted to the WWE style. And then, of course, the Alpha Academy comes down. And I'm like, yeah, you beat the Street Profits, but you can't beat us. And then the Alpha Academy beats them. And of course, all the while, the other tag teams are at ringside. And you've got 4 legitimate tag teams, or at least 3, and then the champions who, let's be honest, I have no interest in, and it doesn't help because they just never fucking defend the belts. So that really doesn't help. But you've got 3 tag teams that could argue for number 1 contendership, although actually the Street Profits come out of this looking, frankly, a little bit too soft by comparison. But it's a good build, and it makes these belts feel important. And also, the key here is that, of course, as they were coming off of the headsets, they said, hey, we'll give anyone an opportunity, which, of course, leads perfectly to a Fatal 4-Way Tag Team title match, which I assume is what we're going to get either this weekend or most likely at WrestleMania. No idea, really. Haven't checked the Wikipedia yet, and obviously we recorded the predictions prior, so we might have to re-record it, depending. Thanks for the extra work, SmackDown, for fuck's sake. Why can't you be on a Tuesday like the good old days? This show did a really good job of building things, not just to WrestleMania, Fast Lane as well. Apollo and Big E have their little sit down. You know it's not going to last long. They're drawing back and forth. I enjoyed this, but I had a hard time taking it seriously because Apollo's accent is just ridiculous. I'm sorry, it is. It cannot be his legitimate accent. It just cannot. Now, he's obviously paying homage to his genuine ancestry, and I think that's very fucking cool, but yeah, it's got a bit of a coming to America vibe a little bit. Make what you will of that, but for me, I just think it's a bit too over the top and ridiculous. Of course, things break down very quickly, and Big E decides, I'm going to get in a golf cart and find you, which is the most random thing ever. Why has there been such a massive amount of, by the way, AEW fans, right, who are all over Twitter are going, oh, they're stealing our golf cart spot again. WrestleMania 17. Go back and watch it, you fucking cretins. Not to mention, there's probably footage from Mid-South in the 70s of some golf cart accident of some sort. Like, so obnoxious to just assume that your company has done things first. And either way, even if you had, let's be honest, Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens did it better. I'm just saying. So yeah, Big E, he hunts down Apollo Crews. They have a nice little brawl backstage. And of course, Apollo gets out of dodge because he don't want none face to face. I'm really liking the way they're building Big E. A little part of me would like to see Apollo capture the IC title because I feel like he's put in enough work to deserve that. And also, just because I feel like Big E could then move on to bigger and better things later down the line. So it'd be interesting to see. But this is actually genuinely the match that I'm probably most invested in other than the main event at Fastlane because it just feels very honest. And it's been built so much better. And of course, I mentioned Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. This has been built much, much better for my money. Because even though Apollo Crews' accent is fucking hysterical, the cadence, the delivery, the reality of everything, it feels like these two are genuinely going to kick the living, everlasting shit out of each other. And I like that. It does. It feels like two men who genuinely want to hurt each other, as opposed to Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, who just kind of feel like they're going through the motions, which is a shame because I think Sasha Banks is one of the most important commodities in all of wrestling. I think she's a megastar, but doesn't matter how much of a megastar you are. If creative fucks you up, and that's as far as it goes. So even SmackDown isn't immune to bad booking. Sorry, but it's just not. Now then, speaking of these two women, they're back again, or at least Bianca Belair is, because she's facing Shayna Baszler, who's looking to curry a bit of favour after she kicked her partner in the face earlier in the night. Shayna Baszler demands a one-on-one match with Bianca Belair. They come out, they have a half-decent match. Sasha Banks comes out at the beginning. Bianca Belair's like, yeah, go away, mate. I can deal with it. I can do my own business. I don't need you out here. Okay, cool. She leaves. And of course, before the match really, really kicks into gear, here comes Natalya and Tamina. Hooray! I could care fucking less if I'm being honest. They are just insufferably go-away heat, aren't they? And they're just... People bang on about Baron Corbin, right? At least he goes out there and does a job and gains some actual heat. These two, oh my God, they're so fucking boring. I'm not about stan culture either, so cry me a fucking river. Natalya and Tamina are boring. And they come in and interrupt this match, and apparently they want to lay claim to the tag titles, and that means they need to beat up everybody, and... Oh, fuck off. Just fuck off. Now, speaking of Baron Corbin, by the way, he beat Sami Zayn earlier in the night. And, of course, Sami Zayn had Kevin Owens at ringside because he's trying to show Kevin Owens that there's a conspiracy going on. Kind of backfires, and it looks like we're going to have, yet again, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. Now, As a match, fantastic. These two are world class, but I can't help but feel that Kevin Owens deserves to be in a far better rivalry than this. And actually, Sami Zayn has been very enjoyable in this, but there's very much a very low ceiling. That's how it feels. Very low ceiling to this. And I'm kind of disappointed because I just feel like Kevin Owens proved in that rivalry with Roman Reigns that he should be in an upper echelon rivalry. And instead, he's going to have to play scrub and mess around with Sami Zayn for a while. And I just don't care. And there's obviously Sami Zayn kind of jumps on him at the announce position. And it just is what it is, you know. I don't really care, if I'm being honest. Not my cup of tea. And also, I've seen it before, and I've seen it done a lot better than this with a lot more vitriol and a lot more genuine animosity. So I don't really care about this rivalry at all. Now, Edge and Jey Uso, obviously, we're going to do battle to see who would be the guest ring enforcer for Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, who also had a little bit of a drawing back and forth earlier in the night. Really good promo, by the way. Daniel Bryan comes down, talks about, you know, how he's going to tap out Roman Reigns, how Roman Reigns is delusional. Roman Reigns comes down and says, I'd rather lose an arm. I'd rather die than tap out to you, little man. I like this because it's just so simple and so effective. Daniel Bryan knows that he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. Roman Reigns knows that he's an absolute fucking beast and could probably destroy most men with his bare hands. So it'll be interesting to see how their match plays out. I have no doubt it's going to be match of the night at Fast Lane. And it should be because it's the main event. But who will be the guest enforcer? Long and short of it, Edge, of course. Of course he will be. Edge faced Jey Uso in what I thought was fucking excellent. And living proof that Edge can still bring something to this product that a lot of people can't. And that is star power with genuine and credible wrestling. We seem to have really gotten away from proper storytelling and proper psychological value when it comes to our wrestling. We really have. I truly believe that. There's a lot of spots for the sake of spots, and this match was not that. And they slowed it down a little bit, which is never a bad thing. They told a great story. Emphasis on injuries, Edge injuring his ribs, Jey Uso injuring his shoulder, and they just worked on each injury so well. And of course, Edge out of nowhere hits that lovely spear and gets the win just when you thought he was going to get overcome by Jey Uso. I thought the whole thing was done so well. And also, it's about 10 minutes long. It wasn't ridiculously over the top, like, 35-minute main event. Doesn't have to be. They got their story across well. Perfect. Really good stuff. A reminder to all these silly little salty haters that Edge is a massive star. And the reason that Edge is going to be main event in a WrestleMania is because, frankly, even at 47, he still looks better and still feels better than the majority of their younger talents and their younger stars. All I ever hear about from WWE fans, or anti-WWE fans especially, is, oh, yeah, well, WWE doesn't build their own stars. Well, they do. It's just that ultimately some guys don't cut the mustard. Case in point, Shinsuke Nakamura, who is an excellent wrestler and a decent enough talent, but he doesn't belong in the main event because ultimately when he was given a chance to be in the main event, he kind of floundered. And he just didn't fit the mold of a main eventer. Sorry, not everybody deserves to be a main eventer. It's not all-inclusive wrestling. It's WWE, and the best should be at the top, and Edge is one of the best. Speaking of Shinsuke Nakamura, he squared up to Seth Rollins. Hooray! It was alright. Good, decent enough little mid-card rivalry. I'm sure Cesaro will get involved as well at some point. I imagine we're probably going to get Rollins versus Nakamura at very short notice at Fastlane. But of course, Edge is celebrating the fact that he's beaten Jey Uso. He's looking at Daniel Bryan. He turns around and boom! Spear! Daniel Bryan is goaded into the ring. He gets blindsided by Jey Uso. Boom! Another spear. Roman Reigns does what he always does, which is stand aloft. At the head of the table, the tribal chief as SmackDown goes off the air. Excellent. 2 hours of easy to watch, easy to enjoy programming, particularly if you watch it after the fact, because you can skip through the commercials, so it's an hour and a half. Happy days. Really easy to watch. Great build to many storylines. A couple of things are not as fantastic as I would like. I would like to see more from the women, particularly when you consider how important that match is. And obviously, being a match of black excellence, you'd like to think that they would really give it the hype, especially when you consider what they're doing with Apollo Crews and Big E. But I really enjoyed this show. I really did. And the stuff that I didn't like as much wasn't offensive or terrible. And luckily, it was kind of tucked away in the middle where you didn't really have to worry about it, or you could just fast forward it if you're not interested. So, great show as always. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. Turn on your notifications so you can get plenty more content from us, because we're going to keep it real here at the Wrestle Plug. We're not going to censor our content. We're not going to censor our opinions. We're just going to give it to you straight as we feel, and hopefully you will enjoy it. And thank you very much to those who are interacting and chatting below. I absolutely will endeavour to make sure I reply to all of your comments. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, as well, if you are watching this, I will be recording a Q&A most likely tonight, Saturday night. And during that Q&A, I will be answering every single one of your questions with the usual honesty and cadence that you can expect from the Wrestle plug. And like I've said, you can ask me anything, but if you ask me something fucking stupid, don't be surprised if I roast your sorry ass. But for those who are going to be sending in questions and being respectful, thank you very much. And I look forward to chatting about those. And that video will most likely drop tomorrow. And no doubt ruffle a load of feathers, because I know that there have been some very interesting shoot questions on my opinions involving British wrestling and beyond. From myself, Aaron X, thank you very much for watching. And I'll catch you very soon for more content from the Wrestle Plug.